First off, before I get to the lens stuff I mentioned in the previous video, I just wanted to quickly show something else. I also mentioned the changes I had to make to my character attacks for them to actually, um, work much better. So I'll just quickly show what I had to do there to fix that. The major problem was in the animation tree, and it it basically affected on how quick and smooth the attack felt when you push the button. Um, so this stuff is obviously still pretty much the same. I've done some small changes to timings and things here because ultimately my attacks now works a lot quicker than they did before. On my action key, which is X at the moment, um, I used to have a much longer delay. I had something like zero point 0.5 or zero point 0.6 delay on this, just to give the animation a little bit of time to actually play through what it needed to play through to make the attack look good. And that was down to some basically mistakes I had in the animation tree. So because this is a learning experience for me on various levels. I'm learning the animation tree as I go. So I've actually um, figured out a much better way of actually setting up the attacks in the animation tree. So let me just um, get that opened up. So originally, what I had, and I've showed this in earlier videos, was these two attacks used to be split out into two separate trees, like two separate pieces, like pretty much like this. Like the one attack would run in there, and then this one would run, and then the other attack would run in there. And so ultimately, what I ended up doing to fix the problem, um, which was basically what used to happen, is when the attack, when you do attack one and then attack two, the way things were blended, because this forms basically a one-way flow. When it blended back to the first thing, um, it kind of it ran the animation before it started to blend over to that animation. So the animation would essentially play a little bit before you saw the animation, and then when it blends over, it's already played like 5 or 10 frames of the animation, which is the major part of the next attack. So it was sometimes the animation felt like it slipped or skipped, um, and which is why I had to have longer delays, on the attack itself. So you give the animation basically a chance to blend over, but that's not really a good way of doing it, obviously, because you want to be able to force the next attack in regardless of what the previous attack is doing. And the only thing that you use to end up controlling how quick your attacks are the animation itself, not like how your blends work. Like, your blends should work for you, not against you. So ultimately what I did to fix that was to create this here, which it's a double blend. I actually blend into this system, which I'll say, I'll just call it my attack mode. So I blend into my attack mode, and once I'm in my attack mode, I can blend between these two as quickly as I feel like, and the animation will just run regardless of whatever whatever this is doing. This stuff doesn't matter anymore because now I'm sitting in this mode, and all I care about are these two. And the way I'm controlling this um, is simply to blend into it, which is on this node, and then I'll run a counter which just counts down like 0.6 seconds, basically 0.7 seconds probably, and the attack mode is active for that amount of time, and I can attack as many times as I like within that bracket. And as soon as I stop attacking, this loop will finish. So as long as I keep pushing the attack button, this timer will keep resetting and resetting and resetting, and it'll never set it back. It'll never run back into this. Into this part of the animation tree unless I stop attacking. And as soon as I stop attacking, boom, I blend back, and okay, there's not a blend happening there, but the blend is actually set up in Kismet here. So the blend in time for the attacks is 0.1, so you basically run into the attacks extremely quickly, and 0.3 for going back to the normal either idle pose or running, whatever's busy happening in the rest of the tree. It'll blend back to that after you let go of the attack. So that ultimately allowed me to get actually 100% clean attack happening, and with no visual problems happening whatsoever. So yeah, so just to kind of clarify that part of it. And the second major change that I did on the attacks was the way I did the trace, which originally anybody who saw my older videos about that would have known that I do a trace directly from the player forward, and 45 off to the left and off to the right. So it's 3 traces to get basically a point in front of the player somewhere where the attack happens. Now instead of that, I'm running a trace on the length of the sword between 2 points, between the two outer points of the sword. So and the trace runs on a really quick loop. In the first attack it happens for 1.4 seconds, and the second attack it happens for 1 second, and it allows me pretty much to get much more accurate contact between the sword and the world, and the sword and the characters, so that where the sword goes, that's where it does damage. There's not some randomly pre-selected point somewhere in front of the character where the sword makes contact. It actually makes contact where the animation of the sword makes contact, and ultimately the trace events and stuff are exactly the same. They just run really quickly in a really short loop. So you push the attack button, it flips through this loop, and I base this off roughly how long the animation is, maybe a little bit shorter. And then in this case, I actually it's it's not directly based off the length of the animation. It's pretty much just based visually on how I feel like I want the attack to, where I want the effect to happen. So but these numbers obviously are tweakable. I can just plug in whatever number I like, and that's how long the sword is technically active, if you will. And I also found that on this one I needed on the second attack, I think possibly the swing through the front end of the sword is possibly a little bit faster than on the first attack. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't really look at the animations, but it seemed like I needed some quicker reflexes on there, so I just have a shorter delay on there, and that one works pretty good on the 0.01. This one needs to be 0.005, so just to get some traces to actually hit properly. And yeah, the rest of the stuff is still the same. So this is based off character, do the object check. If it's a character, do this. And this is the only thing I did different was I broke it off into some remote events, so I can just keep a little bit more clarity in my Kismet sequences here. So otherwise, I have to force all this stuff in the end here, which just becomes cluttered. Um, and that's pretty much it. What I wanted to show on the character attack, and yeah. So I think next video I'll get into some of the visual stuff.